see the light inside you, brighter than the skies. Hold on, just let us escape and fly away tonight. We have the world in our sight, and I know together we'll be alright. Can you see forever we will go?
Remind me not to film a lecture when it is 78 degrees in the apartment and I could just turn on the AC and then it would be a lot cooler. This is ridiculous. Here we go. We're gonna set this up over here. Like that, maybe? It's gonna be what it's gonna be. All right. Welcome to class. All right. So this is semester 2, book 2. No, book 2 of semester 2, book number 10 of the university. We're gonna go over The Ultimate Gift by Jim Stovall. I had to look at the author because this is the first time I've read this book. So in all the other books that we've read that have been in this university, all of these here, you can freeze frame and take a screenshot. I've read all of these except for the 4 agreements, but I've read The Alchemist, Make Your Bed. I read half of the 5 love languages in the past. Answers for Meaning, I've read multiple times. Jim Rohn, or that was the second time. Jim Rohn's Seasons of Life, Fakers of Diamonds, Philosophy for Successful Living, and As a Man Thinketh. I had already read those books. However, I had never read The Ultimate Gift. This was in Patrick Bet-David's list of 100 top recommended books. It is so fucking hot in this apartment. This is gonna be a wild lecture. But I'm in for it if you guys are. So I'll give you guys a brief update with that before we get into the context of the book. And it's very simple. So I've been having heart palpitations for about 4 weeks now. And the episodes were, first it was just like the most intensified heartbeat that I had ever felt. And I thought it was because of all the caffeine that I was consuming. I thought it was from the nicotine that I had. I had a couple cigars to celebrate the end of semester 1. And was there another thing? I thought it was high cholesterol because I had on one of the blood tests high LDL cholesterol. Turns out it wasn't the cholesterol. Turns out it wasn't the caffeine. Turns out it wasn't the nicotine. Had nothing to do with any of that. Had nothing to do with Ratlife newly branded Escape pre-workout. Actually amazing for you. And I've been in and out of urgent cares. I've been in and out of primary care physicians. I've been in and out of the cardiologists, and I've been in and out of the ER. This past Friday, the most recent one, where the episodes intensified from just heart palpitations to heart contractions to these peak climactic episodes where my heart just seizes up for a second and it feels like 911. Like every siren you can imagine just goes off and you think like, we don't know how long it's gonna last, if the heart's gonna fucking burst and explode, if it's gonna stop, don't know what's gonna happen, right? And so those have been the 4 times that I've checked myself into the ER over the past 2 weeks. And most recently, my primary care physician, who I met with yesterday to do a second chest x-ray, which my chest, ribs, all of it, lungs, perfectly fine. She read some of the results on the echocardiogram that I did, which is basically an ultrasound for your heart. And it said I had 3 out of the 4 of my heart valves were leaking, essentially. It was called mitral regurgitation, where blood is supposed to be flowing one way and then it sort of flows the other way, and it's a leaky valve. But it said it was mild leaks in my fucking heart. And so I was like, that's interesting. So what does that mean? And she said, well, you're gonna have to do your stress test with your cardiologist, which is scheduled for next Friday. And then if you fail that, which I anticipate that I might, just because the stress test is that they're gonna put you on a treadmill and then I think you run on it, and then I can't do more than 15 to 30 minutes of any sort of cardio before I really feel my lungs, heart at capacity. It's been better over time over the past couple of weeks, but there was a time where I couldn't even walk for over 5 to 15 minutes without being like gassed, which is weird because 4 weeks ago, my cardio was up to an hour a day on this prep that I'm doing. So when it comes to, I'm losing my train of thought because I'm thinking about prep now. I'm actually really hungry. I want to eat my tuna. No. But the stress test, they said if you fail that, you might find that you have some heart damage. I was like, that's interesting. And so I have my echocardiogram and the stress test scheduled for next Friday. But she said in long term, what it also means is that if it worsens, you'll most likely have to get heart valve replacement surgery. So they'll have to put in new, like plastic, I don't know, valves around your heart. So that's interesting. Those are all things that I'm currently weathering right now. And it's why it's been the end of the second week and there hasn't been a lecture. But there's no excuse. You know, when I was actually thinking about the quest, because Ratlife University is going to be 100 semesters. That is the noble quest of this university. 100 semesters is going to take 25 fucking years. And you see that? That's book 1. You see the blue? Those are the crossed off ones. Through 1,000. 1,000. If you divide 100 semesters, 1,000 books by 100 semesters, it's 10 books a semester, which there's 12 weeks in each semester with 1 week off. And so we got to 8 books in semester 1. So to make up for it, the goal is going to be 11 books in semester 2. And then on, I think it's going to be 10 books every semester, which is really cool because they're just 1 a week. But then over time, there's other things that I'll be introducing, such as office hours, which I'm so excited to launch in the very near future. But in regards to this book, The Ultimate Gift, 9 minutes into this lovely lecture. When I read it, the person who I thought about the most was my little sister. And the reason is because while there is a lot of troll in this book, they make some stupid ass jokes. It was written, I don't know, it felt like the late 1800s, early 1900s. They make some stupid fucking jokes in this book where there's just like, imagine how old white people would laugh. Oh, George, you're too much. Like, they say stupid shit like that literally in the book. We all had a good heartfelt chuckle. And I'm just like, shut the fuck up. But the reason that I thought about my little sister is because the tenets in this book are the epitome of the generational cycle, which are hard times create strong men create good times create weak men create hard times. And I look at my little sister, and she is the result of no discipline, no responsibility, no accountability, no purposeful work, no anything. So you live a very emotionally weakened, physically weakened, mentally weakened, spiritually weakened life as a result of not having any hardship, any burden, any struggle, any adversity, any problems, to where you fabricate and manufacture and conjure your own made-up bullshit problems. You see this all the time with mental health, all the time. And as I was going through these past few weeks with the ER and the palpitations and everything, towards the last couple weeks, the episodes were induced by thought. As in preliminary, I mean, my heart was contracting, which I've never felt a heart contraction before, but that was just the actual event. But I, in anticipation for the event to come, you can call it PTSD, would be pumping so much adrenaline into my body that the thought would induce the episode, the palpitations. And it would happen as soon as my bed was, I was afraid to lay down, because when it got to the point where I'm just laying down, that's when the episodes would cease the most, because you can call it gravity, but the weight of my heart was felt more on myself, so I could literally, my thought and mind and everything went instantly to how intense the heartbeat was, and the thought of it made it more intense, and the more I thought about it, it was a downward spiral where it actually, which resulted in ER visits multiple times, right? Thought, that is the power of your thoughts. Not real, bullshit, made up, fabricated. And most people, and I met them a lot when I was traveling, all of their problems, because they don't live in any actual hardship or adversity or struggle or war times, they make up all their bullshit problems, such as depression, bullshit. I met a lovely Romanian woman who, we were having the conversation about it, and she was like, that's such a fucking joke. And I said, lower your voice, you're turning me on in public. And she said, people who bitch and moan, who have the time to bitch and moan about their woes, about their existential existence, don't know what real hardship or adversity is, because they'd be too fucking busy focusing and dealing with real problems, coming from a woman living in Eastern Europe. And I thought that is so true, because whenever you go to underprivileged countries, the worst of the worst, where people have fucking nothing, coincidentally, you see the people with the greatest gratitude. You don't see people in a vacuum of fucking depression or bullshit like that. You don't see people saying, I need to go take this fucking medication for this disease, this illness that I've fucking made up in my own head. Don't get me wrong, being depressed is well warranted, well merited. When I was living in my car for 93 days, the thought crossed my fucking mind, right? When I was just like, I'm so fucking sick of this. But just like any state, a state that you're in is your body telling you to perform some sort of action. When you are in a state of hunger, your body's saying, hey, go eat something. When you are in a state of thirst, hey, go drink something. When you are in a state of fatigue, hey, go rest. When you are in a state of depression, hey, quit playing this fucking character that you insist on playing. If you were to listen to a depressed person, and I don't want to go on this tangent, but it's so prevalent in this book because the whole premise of The Ultimate Gift is helping this kid named Jason, who was born into a lineage of just money, of just no discipline, of no responsibility, of no personal agency, of fucking no adversity to overcome, right? And so the greatest gift that he gets in this book are problems, are education, are all of these tenets and merits that are predicated in this university. But to finish the depression argument, after I take my drink, it's so hot in here, guys. It's almost, I say it's 78.8. Fuck, I should have turned on the AC. That was a mistake we're not gonna make again. I might make it again. I forget what the final point that I was gonna make with the depression argument, but it's your body saying, I'm sick of playing this fucking character. If you were to listen, that's what I was gonna say, to a depressed person speak, you'd be like, yeah, if I had your life, I'd be pretty fucking depressed too. Like when I was homeless, I actually have an entire list in my notes of what my 2023 was. And after I read you that list, I'd like to know your thoughts on what your mental health or mental state could be. And then after I tell you my entire 2023 and I tell you that depression is bullshit and it's a joke, then you can say, oh, maybe there's some merit to this. Because I had time and opportunity again and again to feel sorry for myself, to bitch and moan, to be the victim. But what did I choose to do? To be the hero of the story, to look for solutions to my problems, to say, I'm not going to focus on what I cannot control. I'm going to let go of that. Instead, I'm going to focus and be productive on what I can control. I'm going to focus on a why, a cause, a vision, a pursuit greater than myself, right? Not bitching and moaning about the lack in my life, but focusing on all I have to be grateful for already. All right, so my little sister is the one who came to my mind the most within this book because she is the result of someone who's lived a very, very sheltered life. And as a result, people think you do someone a service by coddling them, by always being there for them, by always providing them a safety net, a cop-out, a get-out-of-jail-free card. You actually do them the biggest disservice because when real adversity comes, they have no preparation for it, to where the tiniest and most minor of inconveniences is now a fucking tragedy that otherwise would have just been a minor hiccup, speed bump, right, in their life. And so this book is in this university because of the tenets that are going to be so important in the next decade to come, because we're about to experience very hard times due to a result of very, very weak people. Okay. So with that, I have a ton of notes, a ton of commentary, a ton of thoughts, quotes, reflections that I want to go over, and I hope you guys enjoy. And it's a very long list. I don't half-ass the effort of the value that I'm providing within this university. It is a very, 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 very long list. Sit back, buckle up, relax. You're in for a smooth ride because I will be the driver here. Professor, Tara Caux. Your great uncle Red and I discovered nearly 60 years ago that if you can do this kind of work with pride and quality, then you can do anything. And it made me think of a quote by Greg Plitt that says, when you give it your all in here, it makes it so much harder to accept second place out there. And the other day I was on a drive with my brother, and which is so cool because that's a part of one of the great gifts that I love that I experienced outside right after having an ER visit, right when it was like the worst of times, the day salvage and the most beautiful of endings that I'll share within this lecture when we get there. But when you give it your all in here, it makes it so much harder to accept second place out there. And then in the conversation that I had with my brother, I said, do you know what's a real shame? Because him and I know what real hardship, what real struggle is, what real adversity is. And something I didn't include in here was that, dude, when I was in high school, I lived in a garage for 3 years with 2 of my brothers. And we're gonna get into all of Tarek's troubles and woes and childhood things. But I said, I think life can be summarized, the beauty of life can be summarized in what it takes to grind out a rep of a deadlift. And he just smiled because he knew. And I said, when you perform a deadlift at a PR with the discipline and will to brace and hold perfect form while breaking inertia, when there's no sign that the bar is going to move, and you have to go on sheer faith and will that the bar will eventually give, that the weight will eventually break from the floor, without sacrificing the form, without losing the brace, which is the hardest thing, to hold the brace in the initial liftoff of a deadlift, right? The push from the floor. Because most people just, they rush it. They don't believe the weight's gonna move, they yank it, they jerk it, and that's when you get a fucking herniated disc. Which I actually had 2. 2 or 3. One was from deadlifting, and then another one was from ego squatting when I was younger. Putting weight on the bar that I had no business putting on. But I said, nobody knows the grit and willpower that it takes to grind out a rep of a deadlift. When first you have to have the will and discipline to go from the floor, right? To not lose the brace. But then when it gets past your knees and it starts to come to a grinding halt, and you just have to fucking hold on and push through it and persevere. And I said, the kids today, these weak motherfuckers concerned about their pronouns, about their genders, about diversity, equity, and inclusion, all this bullshit, right? So concerned with their feelings and not actually doing any work. So concerned with instant gratification, get rich quick, get fit quick, but no one having any sort of fucking discipline, consistency, work ethic, patience, merit, heart. No one who knows a fraction of what the word perseverance means, right? No one with integrity. People who don't pick up a picture frame to fucking dust the entire countertop. People who don't, when they see a spot on their car after they washed it and they had put all the hoses away, to bring everything back out and do the job fucking right. Most people shortcut, they cut corners, they neglect, they do shit behind closed doors when no one's watching, not in a positive benefit way. Because what true character and integrity is, are the things you do day in and day out when no one is watching. That's what character is. That's what merit is. That's what integrity is. And I said, these young kids, and you see it in perfection at the gym, who slam their weights, who throw their weights, who don't re-rack their weights. These fucking insects, parasites, pricks, who were never told no, who were handed and given everything, who have no idea what fucking courtesy, consideration, or respect is. That is what's prevalent in the world today, particularly in the youth, which is the entire reason that we're about to enter very, very hard times within the next decade. And that is why this book is in this university, The Ultimate Gift. Because if these kids today were given this ultimate gift, the result would be more people like me. People who have work ethic, honesty, take pride in their word. My brother was here today after we got a pizza and we were just relaxing before we went to the beach to watch the sunset after the rain and have a bonfire. This was the day of my ER visit after we had trained back. It was an amazing way to salvage the day and to nourish the relationship with my brother. Beautiful. And we're sitting in my kitchen and I said, fuck, I just lost it. What I was about to say. But we'll come back to it when I remember. Damn. It ties in with character and integrity, surely. Damn it! That was such a good point I was going to bring. Alright, it's okay, we'll move on. We were talking about my brother being here, and then we were talking about something that I told him while he was here. Oh, I think that's what it was. People like him and people like myself. It was your word. And I said, do you know what the biggest shame is? No one's fucking word means anything today. And he just nodded. He's like, yep. I said, if your word doesn't mean anything, the man doesn't mean anything. And he was like, I know. And then I said, how the fuck can people go about their day giving their word that's completely hollow? I said, how do you classify yourself as a man or as a woman if your word doesn't fucking mean anything, right? If you don't take pride in your word, what else do you have? If I can't trust your word, I can't trust you, then we can't build any sort of relationship together if that foundation's not solidified. So what are we talking about? And I have to deal with this shit on a daily basis working the 9 to 5, surrounded by these people completely void of any sort of integrity. And you're playing this role as that fucking courtier. And it blows my mind, man, how people were raised to not take pride in their word, for their word to mean nothing, to have no discipline, no character, no respect, no consideration for others. And all you can do is do one of these mental 180s, and you're just like, I don't get it. I don't get it. Because it's a reflection of a lack of self-respect for yourself. Self-respect, right? You can be a piece of shit to somebody else, which I don't want to say all power to you, but if that's your prerogative, so be it, right? It's not my life. Right? I don't give a shit of the shitty behavior that you're going to choose to do unto others. But all it is you shouting that I do not respect myself. Because if you followed semester 1 and the tenets of this agreement, one of them, be impeccable with your word, then you would understand that everything is founded on the merit of your word, right? So if I say this and I do this, my self-confidence goes down because self-confidence is a self-trust system. When you're confident, it's saying, I trust me, right? I said I'm going to do this. Of course I'm going to do it because I said I was going to do it, right? That's confidence solidified by trust, solidified by you keeping your word, okay? So if I spew gossip and hate and negativity and inconsideration of being a piece of shit and throwing my weights in the gym like an asshole, what does that say? Right? It says, I don't take pride in my own self-respect because I'm a piece of shit or not worthy of it or something. But what it says is I was never taught to have integrity, to take pride in my word, to have a fucking shred of decency, of discipline, of integrity, of moral character, right? If you're going to be one of the students, one of the thriving students, successful, fruitful in this university, starts by you cleaning the fuck out of your garden, which begins with you. The biggest weed you are going to find in your garden before you can nourish it is the garbage soil that is you, right? And that's the beauty of it, of accountability, is you give yourself the power to transform your life into anything you want it to be. So when you're going about your day, and you're like, I want to have euphoria and ecstasy and pleasure and love and abundance. It starts with you, right? It starts with you taking pride in the little things, taking pride in your appearance, taking pride in your work ethic, in your discipline, in your consistencies of those disciplines, in the times that you keep your word, being impeccable with your word, right? It all ties into that Greg Plitt quote, and all ties in with the generational cycle to come, and all ties in with the ultimate gift. Next, bullet point number fucking 1 of these notes. No, we're 30 minutes in. It's gonna be as long as it's gonna take, and you're gonna enjoy every second of it. Do you understand? All right. Learning the lesson, the gift of money. It is so fucking hot in here, bro. I just want to turn on the AC. But then you wouldn't be able to hear the audio. So you're gonna have to endure my sweat. Oh, it's getting moist. All right. The gift of money was the first gift in this book. Or was one of the gifts. I think the gift of work was the other one. At the very end, I summarize all of the gifts, right? So don't worry about it. But learning the lesson, the gift of money. And I put buying someone you love flowers, right? The gift to act out someone's dream, reliving the burden of another bill, for example, car insurance. And I put a bunch of notes with it, but what can you do with money, right? When people reference this book, the ignorant will say, money is the root of all evil. No, because if you were a student in this university and you read Jim Rohn's books, this one or this one, you would understand that this biblical work says the love of money is the root of all evil, not money itself. Because all money is a tool. Because what can you do with money? You can buy someone flowers. You can retire your mother. You say, hey mom, that shit job that you're working, yeah, you don't have to do that anymore, right? The gift of money, the greatest gift bar none. Because it's about not what you get, but what you're able to give now that you've become more. The greater you become, the more value you have to offer others. The more value you offer others, the more you'll get from others. The more you get, the more you'll be able to give. Do you understand? Money, you can be the most selfless with it. But money, just like anything else, all it is an amplifier of who you already are. So if you're a selfish prick, you'll just have more to be selfish with. And I saw it, you can see it with money, you can see it with status, you can see it with fame, you see it with physiques. All it is someone having the confidence to be themselves, right? The reason that I know I'm going to be a great and grandeur philanthropist in the future is because I don't give a fuck about money for myself. I want to be free. That is what Ratlife is synonymous with, freedom. And it's something that I'll share with you in an insight that I had within this lecture. But freedom forever, that's Ratlife. Do you understand? I want to be free. After that, I just want to give it all away because I want everyone else I love to be free. But I've thought about it in reflection a lot, and why it ties in so well with this book is if I just gave people money, they wouldn't be free because they would just go back and revert to their old shitty spending habits that got them into the position that they are in now, right? They would just get back in debt. And so the best thing you can do with the money is reach other people who are in a place to receive the message that you're trying to give them, which is Ratlife, right? Which is the key to their escape to freedom forever through education. All right. We are going to get through this. It's going to be the sweatiest lecture of this semester. So buying someone flowers, right? Money, which is made up numbers on a screen. I want you to understand that. I want that thought to go through your head. Money is made up numbers on a screen that they type. It does not exist. Fairy dust, okay? Because if you understand what fractional reserve banking is, right? You put in $100 into a bank. They can lend out 90% of that money. And then a new person comes into the bank wanting a loan. They just type in numbers on a computer and then they have this imaginary money. It is numbers on a fucking screen, right? That you're slaving away for. Pieces of paper. It is modern day slavery. That's all fiat currency is, okay? It does not exist. It is not real. It is numbers on a screen. And when we go to a digital currency, which is coming from them devaluing the fuck out of the US dollar, which is no longer going to be the reserve currency, then you'll know exactly what I'm saying is true, because you won't even have cash to use. It's going to be a number. It's going to be a credit. It's going to be gold in a fucking video game. That is what money is. It is not real. But you know what you can do with money? That is real. You can buy someone flowers that you love in your life and surprise them and fucking Instacart it, DoorDash it, Uber Eats it, whatever the fuck, right? You can do it just because. When I was in the peak state of I think I'm going to die, do you know what my thoughts were? Who do I love the most? Who do I really need to see? Who have I not told XYZ about how I feel about them, what I think about them, what I love about them, and admire the most about them? And what do I need to do? What letters do I need to write? What flowers do I need to send? If you knew you were going to die and you had one fucking day, right? You would want to be with people who you're just so passionate about, so present with, just could share so much love with, right? And that's the beauty of money, is you can give someone flowers, right? You can act out someone's dream. As in, I commissioned one of my great friends, who's actually in these notes, Leticia, who lives in North Carolina. And she works as an artist. And I felt like such a piece of shit the last couple of years by not being able to commission an artwork from her. And I was finally able to. And it's so cool. Number one, understanding how hard entrepreneurship is myself, but also being able to act out someone's dream, to be able to pay somebody to do what they love to do. You can do that with money. And then retiring my mom was another thing. I right now am slowly trying to relieve the burdens of her bills. And so I've assumed her car insurance payment. And so every month she doesn't get that. So that's more margin for her to keep what she's making through her income. And the goal is eventually for that to be completely dissipated, where she doesn't have to pay for anything, right? It comes down to responsibility, right? And I'm learning this because I was raised by a single mother of 5 since I was 10 years old, so the past 18 years. So I'm learning how to become a man. But what masculinity really is you stepping into the role of protecting and providing for others. When you do that, you realize that your success and productivity and increasing your income is your responsibility, because when you don't focus on how much you can provide for other people and you're just in that, let me just think about myself, you don't know what it is to be a man, because you step into the role of masculinity by what you can protect and provide for others, including if not your immediate family and your spouse. What are we talking about? So relieving the burden of another bill. It removes stress, anxiety, so they can enjoy more peace in their life. That is the gift of money that you can give to other people. Money doesn't give happiness, said every broke person. But imagine you lived your life not having to fucking stress about bills. I'm not saying money is everything, but outside of love and outside of your health, what else is there? I'd love to hear it. And your spirituality and faith, right? Of those 4 tiers, you need money for fucking everything. You're useless to that charity if you're broke. You're useless to your family that you can't provide for. You can't do any of the things that you actually want to do in your life if you don't have the means to fucking eat, okay? So until you solve the money problem, until you're not reliant on the fucking government, because if you're relying on the government for a paycheck and they come out with another COVID bullshit or take this vaccine and you say, go fuck yourself, and they say, okay, we're going to take your job from you. Okay, now I don't have a livelihood. Now I can't provide for my family. So I need to be in a financial position where I'm independent of government fucking aid. So that when they try to pull this bullshit again, and you're standing guard at the doorway of your mind, another tenet from a past book that we read by Jim Rohn, then you'd be like, okay, I'm awake. I'm going to stay awake. And the next time they try to pull this garbage, you're going to say, go fuck yourself, right? What does that take? Money. Because if you're relying on their fucking relief stimulus check, if you're relying on their 9-to-5 income, you are not free to speak the truth. Do you understand? And it ties in with the other point of freedom, which I brought up in the last lecture, to protect your children. I saw a comic of this fucking cow that I showed my brother, and it was a cartoon. My pronouns are she and then them, and I'm non-binary. And I said, children are watching this? What the fuck are we talking about? The pride flag in the classroom? What the fuck are we learning? What are you instilling in my fucking children? Right? That is from a lack of money. Because if you had money, right, you could put your kids in places where they weren't going to be fucking poisoned at their youth. The idea of chemical castration, which is prevalent in the United States, right? To fucking castrate children. I laugh because that's the fucking absurdity of the world that we live in the absence of you pursuing financial freedom. Because you have to put your kid in fucking public school. And this is the shit that they're learning. Because they want to break down the fucking unit, the family home. Do you understand? This is about freedom. Forever. In a world that is going to shit. We're gonna get through this lecture, guys. Trust me. I'm cool. I'm good. It's just really hot. Making someone feel safe to let go because they trust you physically, emotionally, spiritually, but also financially. Women test the safety, stability of the walls of the man that they choose. And the reason that I know this is because when a woman feels safe around you, they turn into a child. They turn into the most giddy, their voice will go up 100 inflections, and they're literally childlike. And it was annoying to me though when I first experienced it. I was just like, could you just fucking talk normally? What the fuck is wrong with you? But I didn't know it was the biggest compliment. because what it meant was I feel completely safe with you. I feel completely safe to let go. And they'll test it in many ways. They'll shit test you. And women do this particularly emotionally. And I learned this from Jordan Peterson, is because in the presence of children, a man's patience will be tested. And women do it consciously, subconsciously, or unconsciously. They need to test a man's patience and resolve to make sure that he'll stay cool, calm, and collected. And it's interesting when women who don't have children do these tests, and they unknowingly do it as a barometer to test if he would be a suitable long-term mate for them. It's crazy. But think of it like a gymnast, right? Going to jump, testing the net, right? Testing the walls to make sure everything's safe. That I can just completely fucking do that high dive, let go, and I know that I'll land in a bed of feathers, right? That's the beautiful alchemy. Women test the emotional stability of men. They test the physical stability of man. Like women who are going for these beta cuck people, is they don't respect men who are going to be sparked when shit hits the fan and they need to fight to defend their woman and their honor. And I experienced that. It was so cool. I think I shared it in a prior lecture, my hero story, where I was in Barcelona and I was on a date and we were outside of KFC. And we're just fucking minding our own business. And this dude stole the girl that I was with, her purse, and bolted off. And I fucking chased after him. And I was able to catch up to him. And I was able to retrieve her purse. And it was so cool. But I've been with men who get sparked when adversity arises. And that happened when I was in Brazil, to a similar situation, when I got jumped. And the guy that I was with, who was in the same position of pursuit, chose the coward's route out of fear. And I was in the same position when I was in Barcelona, and I'm not going to, say Brazil's not more dangerous, which I guarantee it is. But I couldn't care less if I was going to get stabbed or come to a gun at the other end or be intercepted or whatever, just because I was like, I'm not going to die a fucking coward, right? So it's the biggest differentiator with men, but it's also another thing that women test in terms of long-term mating strategy is physical stability and protection. But the other thing that they test is emotional, physical, and financial. So if they can't trust you, they can't let go. Because just think about it logically. If the woman has to be on her guard and be in survival mode and that's her being more masculine, having those masculine features, because she has to enact the role of the provider in the relationship, right? As the leader, as the decision maker. And so you need to be that person, or at least you should strive to be, if you're one of my male students within this university, of someone who can emotionally provide for his woman, physically provide for his woman, but also financially provide for his woman. So I was thinking about it on the drive today or yesterday, that the generation that we live in are the kind of guys who think it's okay to fucking split the check, like on the first date, and you're just like, bro, it's modern men and modern women are a joke. They really are. The modern child has the greatest, and this is prevalent in this book, the greatest sense of entitlement, the greatest sense of ego, the greatest sense of narcissism, the greatest sense of fucking arrogance, the least amount of character, of integrity, of work ethic, and have no idea what perseverance is, have no idea what delayed gratification is, don't have consideration, courtesy, respect. It's just simple fucking things. A traditional man is somebody whose primary prerogative is to protect and provide for others. A traditional woman, I don't want to get down that rabbit hole, but it's not a modern woman. Let's just fucking say that. So make someone feel safe to let go because they trust you physically, emotionally, spiritually, but also financially. That's all tied in with the gift of money. It's going to take a long time, man. It is a wealthy person indeed who calculates riches not in gold, but in friends. The gift of friendship. Really cool. You will never do anything in your life that will bring more quality to your existence than growing to understand and nurture friendship. Very true. Any effort you put into a friendship is returned manyfold. I thought that was very true. And that's why I love the most that after my ER visit, my brother came to visit, to spend time with me, to go to the gym, just to do whatever I want to do, go get a pizza, go to a bonfire in Huntington Beach. Oh my God, it was awesome. Just to relax. It's the little simple things, man. And that's what you're gonna find in the quest of your life. It's the greatest ecstasy and pleasure and euphoria comes from the ordinary, comes from just being present with the people that you love and care about the most. that is the most fun. It's all the things that are free, you know. But in order to fully enjoy those things, you need to put yourself in a position where you not are in a constant state of stress and anxiety and worry about all the bullshit that doesn't matter. And so as soon as you solve the fucking money problem, as soon as you escape the rat life, as soon as you climb out of all your fucking debt and don't have this shitty bosses that you don't respect, that you have to submit to, bend the knee to, that you go into a place where you can't speak the truth, right? You go home to a place where you're not even the king of your own castle, and all of these things stack up to where you don't even feel like a fucking man anymore, you know. And that is the rat life, dude. It's, and men, women, let's focus on men for the case of this university, which is my primary targeted goal, because great men will create great women, right? Because a woman is a reflection of the standards of men. So if we just focus on making fucking men what they used to be, then by default, we'll have better women in this world that from traditional men will create and nurture and nourish traditional women, man. But in the sense of, yeah, dude, the tenets that are just lost today, it's crazy, man. So we'll move past that. But you understand what I'm saying. I kind of lost my train of thought as well. But in terms of friendships, it's the things that are free. But dude, if you're constantly in a state of worry, how am I going to pay this bill? How am I going to pay rent? How am I going to fucking pay my car insurance and my student loans and my mortgage? And you come back and you're not even the fucking king of your own castle. You're not even the decision maker. You don't even have a woman that respects you, who submits to you. And then you have to go to work to a fucking job where you can't speak the truth. And you have to conform and take this fucking bullshit vaccination and then say, yeah, COVID's not bullshit. And tiptoe through the fucking tulips around a world of pronoun mother just, oh dude, I don't know. And that's the other thing that they know, is that if you constantly focus on the absurdity of the world that we're living in and going through, it exacerbates the whole thing, because all it does is it raises your awareness of it, which then it raises your fucking heartbeat, your cortisol, your blood pressure, your adrenaline, because you know it's bullshit. And you feel in a state of helplessness because you're just like, so, but what can I do about it? The best thing that you can do about it is to become your best self. Because if you become better, everyone in your life becomes better. And if everyone in your life becomes better, the world can become better as a result, right? So that comes back to the gift and nurture of friendships. It comes back to you giving love to other people. It costs nothing, and it's returned manyfold, as they say. All these notes are good notes from this book. I want to capture that. I know I'm losing my train of thought a lot, but it's been a long couple of weeks, so I appreciate your guys' your patience with me. Next. This place is made up mostly of empty shelves. There's only a handful of books in here, he said as he surveyed the one library room. The librarian smiled and explained, all of the books are being read by people in our village and for miles around. Your great uncle told us when he gave us this library, the books don't do any good sitting on the shelf. And I just thought that was so cool. So in this university, oh God, the way that this comes full circle is, like I said, this is a 25-year quest, right? 1,000 books, 100 semesters of this beautiful university, a garden that I'm building. And any young person in the future is going to be able to enroll in the university, have access to this education, to all of these gifts of each one of these books, and be given the key to their freedom forever. And it comes full circle when it's my children reading these books. So when they get to the point of their later teens, and what used to be the path that would diverge, I could go to modern education system, be indoctrinated into this woke, left, feminist bullshit ideology, to be indoctrinated into a life of perpetual slavery until I die. Or the red pill, the key on this book, the logo of Ratlife, the key to your escape, the key to freedom forever, right? What would you choose? That is the greatest gift I will be able to give my children, particularly my sons, Henry, William, Charlie. For one reason and one reason only, is because the greatest gift you can give your kids, and it's all tied in with the gifts that we're going over right now in this book, is discipline and education and no money. After my parents divorced, my mom, to raise 5 kids, was forced to go on welfare, Social Security, and food stamps. We had no family here in Southern California, so we had to live with my cousin who lived in this shit town called Chowchilla, which is about 45 minutes north of Fresno. I had to live in a fucking garage with 2 of my brothers for 3 years, right, while I finished high school before I went to UCLA. And if that didn't cultivate my character to what it is now, I'm proof of it, man. I'm proof of that. If you're raised your entire life being told no, if you're raised your entire life learning the principles of delayed gratification, learning the pride that comes with work, learning the gift that what matters the most is family and the people that you love, nothing else fucking matters. And all the other gifts that we're gonna go over in this book, you'll realize that that results in somebody like myself with the virtues that I champion: character, work ethic, discipline, patience, heart, how to overcome failure, how to be alone, perseverance, how to deal with adversity, integrity, character, merit. All of those virtues you get where? Through education, through discipline, right? Through great parenting, which isn't to give your kids everything, which is to be told no, which is not to coddle them, which is to let them fall, to let them fail, to let them be hardened. Let them go through the fire so that they are forged, right? Because if you coddle them, what happens is then they go out into the real world, finally, right? 30 years after the fucking dependency stage, and then they're so brittle. As in, I see it with kids, these children in this next generation, man, these boys and these girls that have no skin, right? They have no merit, they have no fucking, they were never battle tested, right? They never went through the fire. They don't know what fucking adversity is for shit. And they are the perfect result of a people, of the coddle culture, of the participation trophy, of the diversity, equity, inclusion. Fuck all that bullshit, right? In this university, it is merit, right? It is people who want to save themselves. There is no motherfucking victims. There is no participation trophy. There is no any of that garbage. You have to save yourself. No one's fucking coming to save you. You are not special, right? You're special in the uniqueness you have and all the gifts that you have. You are not entitled to shit. That is the world that we live in with the youth today. Entitlement, arrogance, ego, right? The idea of fucking humility. And life forces humility, right? Life fucking humbles these people eventually. But I see it all the time when I go to the gym, and I'm just like, I just go like this, and I'm just like, in what fucking world? If I were to act the way you would have acted, I would have got the shit kicked out of me when I was younger, right? All it took was a look from my father to know that I was gonna get fucking, not whipped, but like smacked, belted, fucking whatever. All it took was a glare. And when you see these kids run around, you're just like, you were never given a belt. You were never fucking smacked. You were never, and I'm not saying you need to physically abuse kids, but if you do not instill discipline, you will see the result. And a lot of people watching this, you might be the result of that. The kid in this book was. So, and if you're not, that's great. And older people will know. They'll corroborate with me. They'll be like, yeah, this generation's a bunch of fucking idiots. But what is it? A reflection of shitty parenting. It's not the kid's fault. It's not the kid's fault they were given everything. It's not the kid's fault they were never told no. It's frame. Think about it. If you act in shitty behavior, right, and the parent rewards you for that shitty behavior, why would you change, knowing that this behavior is going to result in this reward? Whose fault is it? It's not the kids. It's the parents. They're conditioning the behavior of the child. So this book is proof that you're not a lost cause. There is hope for you arrogant and ego and narcissistic and parasitical fucking pricks. There's fucking hope for you. Or there's not, but we're gonna try. I can't save them. I can't save them. Okay. Story of people walking miles just to reach the library in Brazil to get a tattered book. The lesson being the desire and hunger for education is the key to real learning. And I love that. And then I put a quote that I heard from Tai Lopez, who also read a lot of books. He went on to create a company. It was a book summary company. And it was like, that's not what Ratlife University is going to be. But him and Patrick Bet-David are the biggest inspirations for me for this university, because they are the direct reflection of what consuming, hundreds and hundreds of volumes of golden literature result in. Inevitable success. When you cut out all the garbage and you replace all of it with beautiful nourishment into your mental garden, what by law is the inevitable result? All right. A bird must struggle in order to emerge from the eggshell. Someone cracking it open, in fact, leaves it in a weakened condition, unable to deal with its environment. Instead of helping it, that the person might think that they're doing the bird a favor by cracking the eggshell for it, they in fact destroyed it. It's only a matter of time until something in the bird's environment attacks it. The bird has no ability to deal with it. Otherwise, it would have been a manageable problem. Otherwise now is a tragedy. And I thought about my little sister, and it was just, I'm not ostracizing family, but you have to call a fucking spade a spade. And people who are not given problems are given the opportunity to grow from hardship, from failure, from defeat, from adversity. They will never become stronger as a result. If you choose to keep them in that coddle participation trophy fucking weakened state, that validating their victim narrative, if you continue to do that, you fucking ruin them. You do not set them up for success, okay? If you give them garbage, right, of a safety net, a perpetual safety net, and they go out into the real world and they're introduced to any sort of stress for the first time, right, they're fucked. Because something like a parking ticket, something like how I'm gonna pay rent, something like, it becomes a tragedy now that otherwise would have been a manageable problem. Does that make sense? Don't coddle, man. Let them fall. Let them bruise. Let them break themselves. The bones rebuild stronger, right? That's a real thing. Now, I'm not saying beat the shit out of them, but let them fall off their bike, right? Let them scrape their knee. Gosh, I learned that from Jordan Peterson. He said the best parenting is like you have to act in a controlled state of terror, like to let them safely, to the best of your ability, be unsafe and be in unsafe environments, such as when they're, riding a bike for the first time. And you have to let them fall. You have to let them falter and fail and cry and get back up and dust themselves off and be like, dude, it's gonna be okay. They have to learn that lesson, because if they don't, they get wrecked, right? And then what do these weak motherfuckers create? Hard times. And then the good times come from the hard times, because it cultivates what? Strong men. God, I love this university. Fuck. Ratlife, man. Oh my gosh. The gift of problems. Cancer girl in the park. It's my special day. Is it your special day too? Oh my gosh, my heart melted when I read that line. Girl's in the park, and he's, this arrogant kid who's... So the whole premise of the book is this dude who's really wealthy, who's been giving, his kids everything that they've ever, could have asked for or wanted in their entire life, right? Come from a fucking lineage of millions of dollars. His grandson gets nothing in his will, but he gets the ultimate gift, which is a series of 12 gifts throughout that he needs to do and enact every month. And they're sort of like trials and tasks that he has to do. And one of them was go out and find people who have real problems, real adversity. And the beauty of that is it gives you perspective. The reason I don't bitch and I don't moan and I don't have self-pity is because I champion perspective, aided by how much I've traveled. When you know how many other people who have it way worse than you don't have the audacity to bitch and moan about your special and privileged and fucking golden life that they would trade places with you for in a fucking instant. You don't have the audacity to do that. People who bitch, people who moan, people who say woe is me, pity party, victim narrative, motherfuckers who sit and wallow in their state of depression, Those are people who don't have the lens of perspective. Because when I was training my client Jim, who was a grandfather, and he came in and he was like, hey Tark, we need to talk. And I was like, Jim, what's up? And he's like, it is something. And I was like, what's something? He's like, cancer something. And I was like, that sounds like a lot of something, Jim. I'll probably be fine. And he said, but we're gonna have to take it a little easy on the workouts, maybe once a week, right? And I said, Jim, no problem. And he came in to his personal training sessions with 100% effort after the radiation treatment for his cancer for weeks and weeks and weeks. And I didn't treat him any fucking differently. I still teased him. I still called him a pussy. I made him laugh. And he fucking loved that. He loved that because Jim was and I still have his shirt to this day that he gave me from his business that he had for it was restaurant appliances. And he was the antithesis of a victim. And he lived for the happiness of his children and his grandchildren. That's all that he cared about. And that to me was a fucking hero. And I would go through the training sessions with him. And then I would see these other motherfuckers bitch and moan of why they're not going to the gym. It's a simple example. But what it was clear perspective. I said to myself, how the fuck can I bitch and moan about my predicament and my circumstances when I'm training a grandparent who's showing up to the gym going through radiation treatment for his cancer? What the fuck are we talking about? And then you go to the gym and you see people on the leg press with one leg. You see people doing pull-ups with one arm. And you see the motherfuckers who bitch and moan about nothing. And you're just like, go fuck yourself. Fuck your victim mentality. And I've said this before. When you love someone, you tell them to go fuck themselves because you hold them to a higher standard. And that's something that's written in my notes. The biggest gift you can give to someone, at that very personal training studio, my good friend Carrie, she gave me that gift of candor, right? The greatest lesson. I wouldn't call out when a client was performing incorrectly. And the client complained to my superior, to Carrie, my boss at the time. And she pulled me aside and she said, Tark, you're actually doing her a disservice because she could get injured. You thinking you're demotivating her, you're actually putting her in an unsafe environment. You're actually doing her a greater disservice by not giving her the gift of candor. There's a difference between cheerleading and coaching. And I learned that day. But when you have those in the forefront of your mind, right? Those champions, and you cultivate those lessons of candor, of transparency, of honesty, knowing you have their best interests at heart, right? Then ego subsides. Humility sets in. The person is now in a state to receive what you're trying to impart on them because they understand, I love you. That's why I hold you to this higher standard. Because if I didn't love you, then I would coddle you. Then I would validate your bullshit. But because I care about you more than anyone else, I don't fucking tolerate that behavior. You're better than that. So those were my thoughts. But yeah, so the girl in the park with the cancer saying it's my special day because it was like a make-a-wish thing and she could, do anything that she wanted. Some people, they wished for her going to Disney World. I guess the book was set in Florida, unfortunately. Or going to meeting a celebrity or something and she just said, I wanted to go have a special day in a park. And so he goes to the park and she's like, it's my special day. And she's battling a child battling cancer. And how the fuck can you see a girl like that thriving with that level of happiness and joy and just living, right? Amidst her woes and her struggles and bearing her cross, right? So fucking beautifully, like a champion. How can you then in turn be such a bitch? How can you then in turn be a victim, right? How can you classify yourself as a victim, as depressed, as someone who doesn't have every fucking tool and resource that they need, right? To have any sort of life that they want, which has nothing to do with the resources, right? It's not a lack of money. It's not a lack of network. It's not a lack of time. It's a lack of resourcefulness because if you wanted to, you would, right? Period. So understanding that perspective and that lens is the greatest advice or lesson that we can impart and learn from the gift of problems, right? Your life is pretty fucking great. I've said this quote multiple times. I think I created it. And I said, someone out there is dreaming to live out your worst fucking day. Say that again. Someone out there is dreaming to live out your hell. That's a dream to someone else, right? How the fuck can you go about your life bitching and moaning and complaining when someone else out there is dreaming to trade places with you. And I had that perspective tenfold when I was sitting in, and even though mine was, well warranted, I thought I was going to die. I thought I was going to have a heart attack or heart failure. And I still don't know the full, scope of the underlying issue. We just know that we have 3 out of 4 leaky heart valves, and potential heart, what is it? What did I say? From a result of doing the stress test that we're going to find if I have heart damage. Woman across from me, 14 months into her pregnancy, miscarriage. Woman next to me, same thing. Another person, way worse. Cardiologist that I wasn't able to do a stress test there was taken for more severe reasons. All it takes is you going into an environment where all of that shit is prevalent 1,000-fold for you to harbor gratitude about the gift of a life that you have right now, right? And something that we're going to do in one of the homework assignments in this book on this lovely Friday, this is going to be posted probably Saturday, tomorrow, is an exercise of gratitude, is shifting your focus on what is missing from your life and shifting the focus into what you have already to be grateful for. The more you focus on the gratitude, the more you practice gratitude, the more you will have to be grateful for. That's how it works. So, gift of problems. And then another story of laid off parents with a wife that was encouraging of eating just oatmeal. Oh my God, I love that. So there's 2 basically laid off parents, right? He runs into one of them, the father. He was retelling a story about how his wife was encouraging their kids when all they had was oatmeal to eat. And she was like, the pioneers could survive days with just on a little bit of oatmeal. And I said, it reminded me of Layla Hormozi, which is Alex Hormozi's wife. And is exactly the woman who I want. She said, there was a time in the relationship where Alex was like, I'm a sinking ship. And if you want to leave, I don't have any sort of respect lost for you. And in his lowest low, when everything was about to, just fucking sink, right? And he knew he was a sinking ship, which was hit so close to home for me for what my 2023 was. And his woman said to him, she said, I would sleep with you under a bridge if it came to that. And I said, can you fucking imagine if you had a woman like that in your corner? What confidence in your ability, what reassurance in your potential, what would that instill, right? What would you be able to accomplish with someone instilling that level of belief and confidence within you? And I just love that so much. I would sleep with you under a fucking bridge if it came to that. Like, I don't care, I'm all in, right? Because I believe in you, which is the greatest gift you can give someone. The ultimate gift, one of the last ones is love. And what I learned from Jordan Peterson, and something that I currently practice and champion, is, and what I didn't know that I've been craving for the longest time, because all I've wanted in my youth was someone to give me the gift of belief, right? To see beyond my present circumstances or conditions and believe in the person, the man that I have the potential to become. But then I watched a video from Jordan Peterson who articulated it very well, and he said, all love is seeing a person at their best. When you're in love with someone, you get to see the person at their best. That's the gift that you give them, is the vision of who they could be, right? And you're believing confidence and reassurance into that potential, into their ability. And so what is the result? Is they become it from you. And so the greatest gift you can give somebody is the gift of belief. That's true love. Is giving them just nothing but belief until they believe in themselves. And that's what I'm currently doing with the one person that I want in this life, is to believe in someone else enough, right, until they begin to believe and love themselves. It's kind of like when you plant that seed of belief, right? We're all going to make it, which it doesn't take roots until they believe it. Other than it's just words. Even if it's a lie. I had to tell myself we're all going to make it, which is on my wristband, over and over and over again until, it's a secret word, I believed it. As you think, so you are. The first book of the university, right? But as soon as you believe it, then it's true. If you believe, I am this, your identity, it is true. You are what you think you are, right? If you believe depression's real, it is. If you believe you need therapy, you do. If you believe you need some fucking medication, you do. If you believe you're capable of this, you are. If you believe you're worthy of love, you are. If you believe all of the good and betterment about you, all of it becomes true as soon as you believe it. So I love that I get to give that gift in my meditations every fucking day, where I first put myself in a state of peak gratitude, and then I'm able to send love through the power of my thoughts to the people who I care about the most, one person in particular. And just breathing nothing but love, nothing but belief, nothing but gratitude, you know. It's so cool. And I truly believe you can heal other people from across the world just by the power of your thought, right? It's fucking wicked, man. It is so cool. And all these things are not going to teach you in modern day education, but it comes back to that. I would sleep with you under a bridge if it came to that. Is the greatest gift you can give anyone, and it's it's a part of the ultimate gift, is the gift of love, which all of that is belief. I said that is the woman I'm going to call my wife one day. Joy comes from overcoming a problem or simply learning to deal with it while being joyful. Very, very true. And it reminded me, I think I'm skipping ahead, but it reminded me of my work. And the unfortunate part of when you work a 9 to 5 surrounded by people who don't know what real adversity or stress is they bitch and moan about shit that doesn't matter. And so when you come across with an air of lightheartedness, they construe it and conflate it with you being a person who just doesn't care. And they're not wrong. I don't care about shit that doesn't matter, right? So they're very correct in that sentiment. But when you know what real problems are, right? When you know what real hardship is, when you know what real struggle is, then you don't give a fuck about the bullshit and the garbage. You can sift through it so easily. And so I love that quote, joy comes from overcoming a problem or simply learning to live with it while being joyful. And that's why I love Brazilians so much. Not to get on a side tangent, but the places that I've been around the world that are the poorest, coincidentally, have the most grateful people I've ever seen in my life. People who are so fucking happy with nothing, right? They live, versus the people who are so pessimistic, negative, depressing, who have fucking everything right in front of them, but they don't have perspective. Because they don't know what it means to live with lack, to live with nothing, to where they think that their problems are actually problems. And so joy comes from overcoming a problem or simply learning to live with it while being joyful. I fucking love that. And it's about, I'm not Christian, but this will one day be in the university when I've read it. But I was originally going to do it in the first year of the university, but I don't want this university to be predicated on religion, because I want it to be universal in the sense of the tenets in this university and all these books are worldwide applicable. As soon as, and we'll face this in the future, but when we introduce religion, it'll start to segment people into saying, I can be a part of this, I can't be, which is bullshit. There are things that you can learn from the Bible, even if you're Muslim. There are things you can learn from the Quran, even if you're Christian. And it comes down to breaking people's fucking ego, right? And humbling them, understanding that there's more to my life than what I have been taught or all that I know. Perhaps I have something else to learn. Perhaps I can grow beyond this fucking square that I've chosen to confine myself in by my education, my beliefs. Crazy thoughts, man. It's crazy to be in a place, an environment where you begin to think for yourself. Ooh, it's getting spicy in this lecture, huh? Some people are born into wonderful families, others have to find or create them. This was the gift of family. Being a member of a family is a priceless privilege which costs nothing but love. And I love that so much because when my brother was here after my ER visit, it was so cool just being able to talk about what we actually want, where we're going, what we're enduring. He was the only one of my family members that I shared my heart problems with, because I made the mistake of telling one of my female friends about it. You don't tell women about problems. I made that fucking mistake because when you tell a man a problem, I'll give you a perfect example, right? I'm in the hospital, okay? I'm in the ER bed. Day before, told a chick, and then I didn't hear the end of it, right? I'm in the ER bed. My brother, we were gonna go to the gym that day, and I was thinking about my words and how I wanted to word it, and I sent him a selfie of me at the gym, at the ER, right? And I said, I'm currently AFK, right, away from keyboard, if you've ever played a video game before. I said, I'm fine, so no worries, but I gotta do some tests, so I'll let you know when I'm done. He said, all right, cool, no worries. And then I made like a South Park reference, and then he you know, what do you call it, capitalized on the joke that I made. And that was the end of the conversation. And I was like, when you tell a man I'm fine, what does it mean? I'm fucking fine. And then you tell a chick, oh gosh. And I don't hold it against the woman that I told, because she genuinely has fucking so much love for me, and she's a gift to be a part of my life. When you have somebody who cares and who stresses about you, that's somebody who truly loves you. And so those are the people that I love and I want to have and water and cultivate in my garden, or people who make me feel so confident being myself, who make me feel so effortless to love, right? The people who worry and stress about my well-being. Those are the people that you want in your life. So I'm not trying to shit on that person, but I learned that lesson of withholding information from the women in your life, that even if you love them, to not burden them with stress and worry and anxiety and concern. So I haven't told my mom a single thing about these adversities, because what kind of fucking problems could I ensue with my mom? Hey mom, I might have, you know, heart failure, or I might need heart surgery, or, you know, the like. Or we could bear our cross like a fucking man and begin to learn masculinity, right? Another tenet of this lovely university. Now we're gonna move on. If a person can laugh in the face of adversity, that individual will be happy throughout life. Example, people at my job stressing about shit that doesn't matter because they don't know what real stress and adversity is. Very true. Don't take things in life that don't matter seriously. And then I put read the room, and it was a comment that my fucking superior at work made to me when he was commenting on me not taking things seriously while he was wearing a fucking Star Wars tie. And I said, the fucking hypocrisy is just ridiculous. Faith is all that dreamers need to see into the future. I love that. Faith is all that dreamers need to see into the future. Greg Plitt had a really good quote, and he said, the future is just a preview, or your imagination rather, is just a preview of your life's coming attractions. Because anything that you've ever thought of, you can materialize with what? The courage to pursue, which is the credo of Ratlife. Anyone can escape the rat life. It starts with belief, right? It's possible. I'm worthy of it. I'm worthy of freedom. I'm worthy of love, right? And the courage to pursue your endeavor, because it takes courage, man. It takes courage to fail. It takes courage to go for it. It takes courage to tell your family to fuck off, right? It takes courage to be that one motherfucker who I was in a fucking world of sheep, conforming to the bullshit of COVID, getting the fucking vaccine, and doing all this garbage, when I said, fuck no, it's principle. Because when they started incentivizing with giving you your God-given fucking freedoms, or unalienable rights, that amongst which are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, once they started saying, don't worry, we'll give you your freedom to travel back once you take this fucking vaccine, I said, what the fuck is stopping these motherfuckers from introducing just another one of those little things? It was a quote from one of the surviving Jews of the Holocaust, right? He said, we were always asked why we never fought back. And it was very simple. It was never all at once. It was just a little thing, a new thing that they implemented. And so whenever that happened, we just said, oh, no worries. It's just one of those little things, until it wasn't, right? And what was the fucking result? You have to draw the fucking line in the sand from the beginning, because if you give these motherfuckers an inch, they will take a mile, right? You have to understand that. That is your duty and responsibility as a man, right? I saw it on a fucking poster when I was in like kindergarten, and it said, stand up for what you believe in, even if you're standing alone. And it's just, we live in a world that's just so prevalent of people who are never fucking taught that single sentiment. And we live in a world of fucking cowardice, of people who are so afraid to speak the truth. Oh no, I'm afraid my wife is gonna get upset from these cucks. Oh no, I'm afraid I'm gonna lose my job. I had that conversation with one of my superiors. I said, dude, I have no qualms with losing a fucking 9-to-5 job on the premise of integrity. I don't want to be alone in that sentiment. That's why I'm planting these seeds in this university. What if we all champion that mentality to stand up for what we believe in, knowing that courage is contagious as much as cowardice is. If one person is a pussy, all of their surroundings will be encouraged to be cowards and to flee. But if one motherfucker stands at the vanguard and charges in, it'll inspire courage within his men to go in, face first into the fucking enemy. A simple example was I played this game called World of Warcraft. I was one of the best players in the world at it, but that's a huge aside. And we were doing a battleground, right, where you queue in and there's, the enemy team is like a 10 versus 10. And my fucking team was running away, and I went straight in 1 versus 10 of the fucking enemy, and I just charged straight at them. Typing in chat, yelling like all these emotes like, Braveheart and Leonidas speeches, and Achilles where he's just like, do you know what's there? Just beyond, these, what does he say? These gates or this wall? Immortality, take it, it's yours. I'd say that shit. And I'd go 1 versus 10, and these fucking pussies who were running away, they would be inspired, and they'd have this, rush of courage. They would fucking join me into the battle, and then if we died, we fucking died. Who gives a shit, right? Or we'd fucking win and we'd overcome. That comes from the contagiousness of courage. And all it takes is one person. And we learned that in the book, Make Your Bed, where they were sitting in the freezing mud, in the freezing cold, right? Battling off fucking frostbite, if that was happening. I'm making that part up. But it was freezing cold, and then one person, he said, all you need to do to get warm, hot cocoa and sit by the fire is ring the bell. One of those motherfuckers came out of the mud with his fucking troop, right? With his men, and was about to leave when one person started singing. And then 1 became 2 and 2 became 3 until they were all fucking chanting. And then the chanting grew louder and louder, and they said in the book, it was beautifully well written, he said, and then the night became a little warmer. What is that from? Courage. You could be that guy, right? You could have the courage to pursue your endeavor, right? You don't have to live a life of fucking cowardice. Okay. Homework assignment. Dream. And I said 14 years. Oh my God. The best assignment that I did. You can see it barely. It's these right here. I don't want to pan the camera, but okay, I'll do it just for you guys. You see all those posters? When my good, amazing friend Ricardo was here in the end of December, I did the exercise that I learned from a guy that I saw on Instagram. Or it was a YouTube video that I watched. It was so amazing. And a guy he's one of the professors at Stanford University, one of the business professors. And he said, my 14 years of executive coaching experience with my 14 years of being executively coached by an executive coach. He said, we did this exercise that after doing it, I was able to achieve and realize every single goal that I had written down, right? It was the best goal writing exercise I've ever done in my entire life. And I'm going to share it with you guys because it's the homework assignment for today's book. Okay. He said, the first thing you need to do is go 5 to 10 years out. Okay, because you need to get out of the fog of today. There's a perfect quote, and it goes, I'm so buried in the trees that I can't see the forest. A lot of you guys are in that position, and this is exacerbated by your financial problems, or your relational problems, or your physical problems. When you're so buried in the adversity, right, in the day-to-day, and so fixated on the fucking day-to-day defeat, the day-to-day hardship, the day-to-day grind, and you've lost sight of the horizon, of the finish line, of the target, of why you're getting up in the bed, out of the bed in the first place. Okay, you've lost sight. You have to get out so you can have that higher lens, right? Your higher self, to see from that 30,000 feet perspective the world below you as it actually is. And then when you're able to fucking zoom out, you're just like, number one, I'm a lot closer than I think. And number two, the bullshit that I'm going through right now, I would happily pay that. I'm this close to freedom forever. I'm this close to the woman of my fucking dreams. I'm this close to, my dream physique, whatever. Dude, this is such a small price to pay for this, right? Go 5 or 10 years out, number one, for this goal writing homework assignment. Number two, write out your entire dream life if you could have every single thing you've ever wanted and it was all guaranteed. It was all 100% sure thing, right? What does that do? It gives you the ability to dream as big as you possibly can. How big would you dream if you knew you couldn't fail? Okay? And number three, let go of how. How is none of your motherfucking business, right? Because you right now have this network, have this net worth, have this experience, have this education. You're not taking into consideration in your plan of getting to this attainment of the people you're going to meet, the money you're going to make, the opportunity that's going to arise, the hardship that you're going to go through. You think success is like this. Oh, no, I need to go through divorce. No, I need to have a fucking heart attack. No, I need to break this limb. No, I need to have my parent have cancer. That's success, right? Okay, don't crop that, what I just said. But that success is not fucking linear. It actually looks like this. You try something, you fail, and then you learn, and then you grow. You plan, execute, fail, iterate, improve, next. And so every time you get to the new level of problems, and so you fail forward. That's that diagram that I just drew. That's in the book Principles by Ray Dalio, and he was the founder of the largest hedge fund in the world, Bridgewater, which at the time had over $160 billion in assets under management. So those are the three for the homework assignment. Go 5 or 10 years out. Write down everything that you would like. What are your 5 or 10 year goals, right? What kind of woman do you want? How many kids do you want? And be specific. What are their names? You know, where do you want to live? What car do you want to drive? Write down every single thing that you want as if you couldn't fail, right? How big would you dream if you knew that you could have it all and wouldn't fail, right? And let go of how. If you do those 3 things, he said, in 14 years of having that executive coach, he had never not achieved one of his goals. How fascinating that is that if you let go of the arrogance of needing to know the how. Because I've thought about this a lot. And it goes for anything. It goes for the woman that you want. It goes for the dream, the vision that you have for your university, right? It goes for anything that you want in this life. The arrogance to say, this can only be successful if I get it in this sequence, in this fashion, in this order. Arrogant. For you to limit the infinite possibilities the universe could give this to you. To say that it needs to be done in this way, at this time, that I, in my fucking parasite of a brain, could compute, right? How insulting to the universe. How insulting to God. How insulting to divine intelligence, to grace. To say that I can only have my dream come to fruition if it's done this way. What if you considered the idea you're going to get every single thing you've ever wanted, not in the way that you think? Whoa. It's a good lecture, man. Very good. So that's your homework assignment. There are no right or wrong answers, and keep in mind your dreams will grow and develop. What is more important than the dreams is the process of becoming a dreamer. It is very important. And it's in the credo of Ratlife, right? The credo of Walt Disney. And I put the inspiration for a university, and I said required personal development. When I first created Ratlife University, and where I got the credo from Ratlife from, and it's funny, Tai Lopez said, good artist copy, great artist steal. Snapchat was the first ones, I don't know if you guys remember, that came out with stories. The day after Snapchat came out with that, Instagram did. They stole it immediately, right? And other people, the greats steal, they don't copy. And so if you look at the credo of Ratlife and you look at the credo of Walt Disney, you'll find striking similarities. And the credo of Walt Disney, he said, all dreams can come true if you have the courage to pursue them. And Ratlife, I said, anyone can escape. It starts with belief and the courage to pursue. Ratlife, we're all going to make it. And the reason that I created Ratlife University when I first launched it, which is on my Instagram, and I delete a lot of them, but my oldest ones were from 2022. When it was just an idea. And the idea was Walt Disney required people to attend Disneyland Walt Disney University. Every management and administrative employee that he had working at Disneyland, it was a requirement of perpetual personal development. And I wanted that exact same thing for any person who was affiliated within Ratlife. And I made the mistake, we'll learn this in the book, Good to Great by Jim Collins. Yeah, Good to Great or Built to Last, one of his books. And the premise of it is think of it like your company is like a bus. And the first thing you need to do is get the right people on the bus, then get the wrong people off the bus. When I first created Ratlife as a pre-workout supplement company, I had so many of the wrong people on the bus because I just wanted people for the sake of people and for the sake of friends and for the sake of family. But now I learned you need to have people who align with your vision, who align with your ideologies, right? Who believe in the cause, Those are the only people who can be in the environment, because otherwise you don't have the culture that you're trying to cultivate. If I'm trying to create a culture of heroes and I have in my garden a bunch of victims, right? I can't create what I'm trying to create. I can't build the garden that I'm trying to build. So what I had to do was I had to prune the entire thing. I had to cut all of these people to where I was the last man standing. I was the last person, not a family member, not a friend, fucking nobody. It was just me holding on to Ratlife, right? And the premise of it came from Walt Disney, the university, Walt Disney University of Personal Development. And he had, all Disneyland was a what to his why, right? That all dreams can come true if you have the courage to pursue them. All the university is a what to my why. Anyone can escape. It starts with belief and the courage to pursue, right? And that was one of the gifts in terms of the gift of education, where they traveled these Brazilians in this area, this province, sector in Brazil. They would travel, these locals, villagers, they would travel miles to go to a tiny bookstore just to have access to education. And when you think about Ratlife University in the grand scheme of things, big picture, zoom out, right, with AI, there's going to come a day in the university's tenure with AI, where every single one of these lectures, every single one of the books, the audios of every single one of the books will not only be accessible to every single person in the world, but they'll be able to be utilized by everyone in the world, because through AI we'll be able to convert every one of these lectures into every language that exists, as in into German, as in into Spanish, as into the kid in Kazakhstan with access to a Wi-Fi connection, and who knows about Ratlife and this quest for freedom forever for everyone. That the idea that anyone can escape, anyone can be free, that gift will be given to anyone in the world one day, right? It's awesome. Oh man, we're moving right along. I don't know how much battery this has left, but we got a lot of notes to keep going through. All right. So that's why I created the university, and that's why Ratlife, Walt Disney Stovall. All right, Jason. After 40 years of working with Miss Hastings, I have learned one principle of survival. That is simply to always agree with her. I accidentally spoke, but after 40 years of working with Miss Hastings, which was the lawyer's secretary, I have learned one principle of survival. That is simply to always agree with her. And it reminded me of my grandpa, and I put my future wife. And I was in the hospital with my grandfather when he was in the latter stages of his cancer. And I said, Grandpa, you've been married to Grandma for, I think it was 62 years, right? It was over 60 years. I think it was 62. And I said, what is the secret? What is the secret to a long-lasting marriage? 62 years? Grandpa, you gotta tell me. Give me the secret sauce, right? And he said, I always said yes, dear. And I said, Grandpa, what do you mean? He said, well, I'll give you an example. So towards the end, my grandmother, she got around on a little motor scooter. And one day she drove over my grandfather's foot, and he apologized. And I said, Grandpa, why'd you apologize? She ran over your foot. And he said, clearly, I was in her way. And I said, that's going to be me and my future wife. I'm going to be like my grandpa. I'm going to say, yes, dear. And so when in this book, that's what it reminded me of. Very, very cool. The gift of giving. The seeds I would plant traveling is the notes that I put. And then I put the quote, life is about planting trees under whose shade you will never sit. So I've traveled to 32 countries in my life. And the most I was able to give and have the greatest impact on the people who I met were the ones who I was able to get so vulnerable and to be so intimate with, and they were willing to be so courageous in the sense of just being honest and harboring humility and being able to trust me enough to let go, that I was able to articulate or reflect on or, draw a parallel to the stage in their life that they were going through, something that I've learned or endured along the way, and then inspire a seed of an idea for them to consider. Food for thought, right? And the people who I had the greatest impact on were the ones who had that humility, who had the courage to let go, to just be vulnerable, to be open, to be honest, to be in a state to receive. And life is about planting trees under whose shade you will never sit. Those people, man, have returned so much love to me as a result. And throughout my adolescence, I've always been a healer. So I've always, particularly in dating, I've always, a person would come to me with their limiting beliefs, their traumas, their insecurities, their bullshit projection. And there's a good quote, if you don't tend to your wounds, you will bleed on someone who doesn't cut you. There's another good quote that what you tolerate is how you teach others how to treat you. So because I have self-respect, because I don't tolerate projection of any kind from any woman that I date, anytime that they would present any of that to me, I would just act as a mirror and present them exactly what they're doing. And it would be met with a lot of resentment. It would be met with a lot of spite and bitterness and hatred. But in time, they would reflect, they would ponder, consider, and then they would heal, and then they would grow. And then as a result, they would attract their person afterwards. I can't tell you how many people who dated me, it's in the movie Good Luck Chuck that I've never seen, but it's the same premise, where after dating me or experiencing me or just having a conversation with me, they would then in turn magnetize and attract through their healing, through my healing, the seeds that I was planting, their dream person. Or, I couldn't tell you, it's countless how many people who like, I love you so much. Like the next post on their Instagram would be like their boyfriend, or it would be a photo of their engagement ring, or, whatever. And then I think at some point it just got to the point where it was just like, when is it my turn? You know what I'm saying? Like I understand that's the greatest gift that I have is the gift of belief, right? And that's what I've learned is, and it actually ties in with the 5 love languages, is we give what we secretly, harbor that we want the most deep down. And one of my greatest gifts is it's so effortless for me to see people's potential. And because I live in such a state of abundance, I understand that life isn't a zero-sum game, as in someone winning doesn't mean I'm losing by any means. And so I have no qualms with clapping until it's my turn, right? Clapping for someone else until it's your turn to win. And I inspire so much belief and faith and confidence into other people's ability and potential to the point where once they believe it for themselves, they in turn realize their, potential and their ability. And when I travel and I'm allowed to just let go and it's not that I'm not allowed to let go when I'm in California, but I feel like my best self when I'm abroad because I get to completely be myself and who I am in a lifetime of rejection, in a lifetime of people who made me feel uncomfortable being myself or very, very, very hard to love or just outright rejected me, right? I have a lifetime of that, of experiencing that. So when I go abroad and I can just fucking be myself and I'm solo traveling and it doesn't fucking matter if I'm gonna see these people ever again, and I'm able to just invite so much love within others because I have so much, happiness within myself, and you view others the way you view yourself, and I love who I am when I'm abroad, when I travel. And so you get to see others through that, God or goddess lens. So they in turn present to you their best self, right? And so it's a beautiful alchemy. And so the result is they get to feel the most comfortable in their own skin. They get to feel the most confident being themselves, the most reassured in their ability. And you get to see people at their best, man. It's so cool seeing people so comfortable in their own skin and so confident. When I was in the Netherlands, I got to see my mom more confident than I ever have seen her in my life. She was just owning it. She was just like, she did, I forget what the religious sect is in Christianity. It was Job's Daughters. That's what my mom did when she was younger. And she was like, yeah, I was honor queen. And I just loved it so much. And I mean, it's interesting. There's a whole story to that. But yeah, so I love that idea so much. It's just giving people the gift of love, the gift of belief. And that is so prevalent for me personally when I travel. Life is about planting trees under whose shade you will never sit. And I truly believe that you're going to find the person one day, even if it's the person that you have to constantly love and give belief to until they love and believe in themselves, and to be the person that is willing to be patient. It's a good thing I have like 30 of them, not 30, but I have a lot of these SD cards. So they said card full, and I was like, this is a good opportunity to change the battery because this is a very long lecture, guys. Oh no! You're like, I gotta listen to this guy's voice even longer. When will it end? I don't know if we're almost done. I think we are, but maybe another hour. I'm hungry. Okay, let's move fast. No, not really. The gift of giving, the seeds I would plant when traveling. Life is about planting trees under shade you will never sit. Very true. Okay, my greatest gift. I wrote down what my 2023 was. You guys ready? Now, I don't say this with pride. However, I have a cool analogy that I'm going to give afterwards. So this is what my 2023 was. My 2023 started with me working at Amazon as a maybe minimum wage, maybe employee working a graveyard shift. I remember I was taking the bus at the time, and that was fantastic for 8 weeks. And I put disrespect, indefatigability, and humility. And so when I worked at Amazon, I learned the lesson that people can't tolerate someone who tolerates disrespect. And there were these runts who would purposely disrespect me, and I didn't understand it. I was just like, number one, you don't know who I am. I could be a fucking killer. Number two, I could literally squeeze your neck and just end you. What the fuck are you doing? You're half my size, like a chihuahua. And I learned men are the biggest pussies. As in, all you have to do, and it's actually in the book, Make Your Bed, stand up to the bullies. All you have to do is stand up to the cowardice and watch how quickly they fucking cower to the pussies. Watch how quick. I learned that when I was in Egypt as well, where they catcall, and as soon as you, as a woman, go up to those pussies, bro, they fucking shrivel. Those men don't know how to deal with women who are not meek. But the weak men, they derive so much power and strength from preying on the fucking meek, and they're the biggest insects in life. They're the biggest cowards, are the ones who, it's a form of bullying, but well, and more treachery. But yeah, as a man, all you need to do is stand up to those people and you'll watch how quickly they fucking cower. Most men are pussies. So but I learned that lesson. But I'll tell you all the things that I did, then I'll tell you the lessons afterwards. But I learned also indefatigability, because I would have to pull 12-hour, 24-hour, 36-hour shifts and days. And I would go 2 days without sleep and with malnourishment and walking for hours and hours and hours every day, because my bus schedule, I was able to, the last one was at 11:45, and then my shift didn't start until 3:20 the next day. And so I learned what it meant to be indefatigable. I removed the T word from my vocabulary, T-I-R-E-D, right? Solidified it. And I learned humility. UCLA education, minimum wage job at Amazon. Ridiculous, right? Brazil, I got jumped when I went to Brazil. Drowning in debt. The entirety of Ratlife debt, maxed out credit cards, drowning in debt. Rock bottom. And I had drug addict, alcoholic, and cuck friends, living in a drug addict, prostitute, and alcoholic-ridden hostel, taking the bus with soon to be no job, heartbreak from the only woman I've ever fallen in love with, the one I'm currently still in love with, and I said homeless for 93 days, living in my car. Drug overdose, and the closet, second closet I've ever been, the closest, I've ever been to dying. And I put the heart contractions I've been having the past 4 weeks being the scariest. And then these were my notes. That was my 2023. So to recap, I had a drug overdose, I took too many mushrooms. It was in celebration of moving into this apartment, but it was the outside of these heart palpitations and issues that I'm currently dealing with. That was the closest I've ever been to dying in my life. I was living in my car for 93 days to escape the rat life in terms of getting out of the drowning of the Ratlife debt. My rock bottom, Joe, surrounded by drug addicts, alcoholics, fucking losers, who I deemed my friends, right? You are some of the 5 people you spend the most time with. That was my fucking environment. That was my rock fucking bottom. Taking the bus, coming home, and dude, prostitute, cross street, walking towards me. I'm just like, this isn't fucking cute anymore. Fuck this, right? It's the day you say enough. It's the day you transform your life. Drowning in debt, getting jumped in Brazil, and working at Amazon, dude. That was my 2023, right? Garbage. And I said, what if everything you're going through right now is preparing you for a dream bigger than you can imagine? And I said, what if the pain, suffering, defeat, loss, heartache, and heartbreak made you stronger? And he said, what if it was all the necessary price that needed to be paid for life or God to give you exactly what you say that you wanted? And he said, it was, because it is. Let's think about it logically and begin to shift our perspective on failure. These are all my notes. I said, what did I learn? People can't respect someone who tolerates disrespect. How to be indefatigable, right? An unrelenting work ethic. If you find yourself in a hole, stop digging with the debt. You are the sum of the 5 people you spend the most time with. It's the importance of your environment. Network is your net worth, right? So if you're surrounded by losers and drug addicts and alcoholics and prostitutes, what do you think you're going to become? Okay. The Alexander Dumas quote in its exacting accuracy. Life is a storm, my young friend. You will bask in the sunlight one moment, be shattered on the rocks the next. What makes you a man is what you do when that storm comes. You must look into that storm and shout as you did in Rome. Do your worst, for I will do mine. And the fates will know you as we know you, as Albert, the man. I learned that quote in its exacting accuracy. All dreams can come true if you have the courage to pursue them. That includes a rat life, or if that's a dream, rat life, and the woman that you want. All dreams can come true if you have the courage to pursue them. Character, work ethic, discipline, consistency, heart, patience, perseverance, and a never say die, whatever it takes, until attitude. And I put countless more. That was my 2023, right? Imagine I have a bow and arrow, right? My 2023 was this. It was the fucking pullback for, okay? People bitch and moan through the hardship, through the adversity, through the trauma, through the defeat, through the heartbreak, through the loss or the illusion of loss. What if that is God, the universe, infinite intelligence giving you exactly what you say that you want? I want this love, no problem. What if life was always yes, right? And you just had to let go of how? What if you getting blocked by this person was life giving you what you say that you wanted? What if you needing to nearly fucking die was the catalyst for you to have the humility to let this person go, to write this person a letter, to harbor gratitude and presence for what actually matters? What if when I go to the gym to get stronger, I have to break my muscle tissue down first? What if I need failure and resistance to grow? What if that idea transcends into every other aspect of my life, right? What if it gets harder before it gets fucking beautiful? What if you have to go through your hell to reach your paradise, right? When a sword goes into the blacksmith's forge, it has to go through fire to be hardened, right? It's the same thing, right? I need to go through pain and loss and hardship and tragedy and adversity and struggle to persevere, to develop strength, to grow, to become indefatigable, right? You do not get that in the vacuum of a comfortable life. The comfort zone is great, nothing grows there. Does that make sense? So shift your perspective on failure, right? Let go of the how to get everything that you've ever dreamed of and wanted. It's the effectiveness of that exercise, right? Let go of how. How is none of your fucking business. Knowing what it is that you want, that's the only thing that matters, okay? Know what you want and know why you want it, right? Because you will get out of bed for your why, and it has to be greater than you, okay? Homework assignment, the golden list. They made a golden list in this book. And they wrote down 10 things you are grateful for. And I can name them without even making a list. First and foremost, I would say is my health. I am not dead. I have 3 leaking heart valves in my heart, 3 out of 4. We're still going, right? And I put juxtaposition. I mean, I didn't want to read my things, but there's so many things that I'm grateful for, man. Number 1, first and foremost, is my health. I'm not dead yet. I love it. I go through another day, and when I wake up the next day, I say, thank you for another day. And when your mortality is ever so omnipresent, then you really take into gratitude the gift of the day. And the next thing I'm the most grateful for would have to be family, right? When I saw my brother the other day, I loved it. I loved it so much. The juxtaposition to where I was in 2023 and the person that I am now, incredibly grateful for. And even just the little things. Like, I did this exercise this morning of when I was driving to a test for a job that I'm trying to get that would take me to the above 6-figure mark. And I was like, a year ago, I was homeless, I was jobless, I was living in a fucking hostel. If I wasn't living in my car for those 93 days, I was surrounded by drug addicts and alcoholics and fucking prostitutes and losers. And I was, overdosing on fucking drugs. And I was just all of these failures. And I was drowning in debt and I was doing all this. And I was just like, now I own my own car. Now I own my own I have my own apartment. I have this, great job that I can go to the grocery store and buy anything I've ever wanted like that. I sleep in a California king-size bed versus when I was sleeping in my fucking car. I have perspective and I have all of these juxtapositions, and it gives you so much gratitude and appreciation for what you have, for how far you've come, for all that you're going to achieve in the future, right? So my list is endless, but it's a really cool exercise that is part of the homework. So you know homework number 1. Homework number 2 is write down your golden list. Okay. If you're doing the meditation exercise from one of the earlier lectures, every day, you should be reflecting on the 3 things that you are extremely grateful for. I do that every day. And there's 3 people in particular that I think of every morning before I send out my love. And it was one of the 3 most, and they vary time to time, but my 3 most grateful experiences in different places that I've been to when I've traveled. And so it conditions you to step into focusing on what you're grateful for and not on lack or what's missing from your life, but being grateful for what you already have. For example, gratitude in juxtaposition. 93 days of living in my car, showering at the gym, eating at McDonald's every day, poisoning myself, without readily access to a kitchen or bathroom, using towels as blankets and pillows, a flea-ridden laundromat, drenched in sweat to sleep or freezing cold, unable to roll the window down at night, for that would allow spiders to come in, which happened because I tried it. Leaving the AC on in the scorching summer fried my car battery. So there were nights where I had to either choose to be, soaked in fucking a puddle of sweat, or freezing cold because I was, homeless for the, or living in my car for, well, that is homeless, without a home by definition, in August, so peak summer, and then nearing November and December, where it was freezing cold at 2-3 in the morning. Little things like ice that I have now, my bed, my 1-bedroom apartment, a closet, pristine food in my diet, being warm or able to be cold, literally anything I could ever want. Such a gift. And then I just put thoughts in the shower. The ultimate gift for your sons is discipline, education, and no money. That was the gift I was given. Men need trauma, hardship, and resistance to develop and cultivate perseverance. It's very true. Gift of a day. I gave you guys my heart update, so that's the latest and the greatest with my heart. I've been thinking about how I would want to live that day, or what I would do if I had just one day left to live. And it's interesting because when I had that experience, I shared that with you of, I sincerely thought I was going to die, man. Like, I had never experienced that heart situation before where your heart just fucking stops, it seizes, it, just like this, contracts just for a second, and you're just like, holy shit, is this it? Is this game over? And it is fascinating, your thoughts that ensue as a result. When I thought I was going to die, who were the people who came to my mind? What were the things that I wanted to do the most? Who were the people that I still wanted to tell this to, tell that to write this letter to whatever to? Who did I want to see immediately? When you think you're going to die, man, then all of the petty bullshit subsides so quickly. And you're just like, fuck, we don't have time to fucking waste. And the truth is, right now you don't. But because you have fine health, because you have, your whatever life, because you aren't experiencing fucking loss or hardship or tragedy, because that's not in the forefront of your mind right now, your mortality, you take the very fucking people in your life that you otherwise would be so fucking grateful for, just to be sitting with them in a room, having a conversation, writing them a letter. I said, if you thought you were going to die tomorrow, you wouldn't wait another fucking day. And I experienced all that when I was these past few weeks. So my morning walk to my car, I used to say, thank you for another day of this grind. That's what I used to say every morning. I'd walk out of my apartment, ready to go, start the day, and I'd say, thank you for another day of this grind. Now I say, thank you, God, for another day. It's one day at a time, man. That's the gift of a day. So my thoughts when you really think you're going to die or nearing the end of the video game, and I put garden. So I deleted my social media, so my Instagram, like I temporarily deleted the apps, TikTok, all that garbage. I said, who in this entire life do I love the most? Who do I want to, what do I want to say to them? How I'd like to see them. And so what really matters, the unfinished work, the only thing that you really want. And I put a particular emoji here. And I said, story of drug overdose upon moving. I already shared that. Who I thought of and why. Yeah. When I thought I was going to die, one woman came into my mind who, and this was in December, so this is a while ago, so not somebody who I'm thinking about right now. But it was someone who I went on a date with several years ago, like in 2018 or something, or maybe 17. It was a very long time ago. But it was someone who I was so present with, and I remember them being so present, and there's so much passion and presence where the other person's hanging on to their fucking every word. And because I was in such a low, right, having survived a fucking drug overdose at the time of moving into this apartment by taking too many mushrooms, I remember, and I said this in my first lecture, I said through graded teeth, I said, you need to be the fucking standard this year. And I remembered who I was, or who I could be, right? How I would dress, how I would present myself, how I would show up, how I would go to the gym, how would I take care of my diet, how I would, you know, when I would fucking write letters, you know, I would do it with a wax seal, man. And I would be that guy who wrote handwritten letters to people, who sent fucking flowers, who, you know, gave thoughtful gifts, who gave recognition, who gave so much fucking love. I said, if you knew and thought you were gonna fucking die, dude, this is like, I thought about what I missed, because I haven't had a girlfriend since I was a senior in college. Primarily because when I know the person is not who I want, I don't lead people on, because I, in my youth, was led on by someone, and I said I'm never going to do that to someone ever again. So when I know someone isn't the person who I want to spend the rest of my life with, I don't continue the relationship. And the other reason is for being a provider. Before this year, I never considered, and I could use the excuse I was never taught, what it meant to be a man, to protect and to provide for others, to put others before yourself, and all of these tenets and all these sentiments. But I remember when I was very, very young, like just, you know, that person who came to mind, because it was like, it's been so long since I've like dated, truly dated, not modern dating, but like where you get super dressed up, you know, you get a fucking rose, you pick them up, and it's just, I said, I miss that so much. Like, I love that. I love effort. I love passion. I love presence, where you don't give a fuck about the activity. It's just you care about that person, that they're happy, about you and each other, making each other feel as amazing and incredible as you can for each other. And I said, that's passion. I said, I love that so much. I said, I cannot wait to experience that again with someone who, not that I care about, but who I love, who I'm in love with, who's also in love with me. And I just said, oh, that's just so fucking awesome. So I just want to share that. All right. Yeah, flowers, dressing up, writing handwritten letters. I said, making love with passion, being present, hanging on to the other person's every word. I said, it reiterates the gift of friendship. Nothing matters more than the people we love. Quote, he says, you know, I've never really thought about dying with the last day of my life. I believe the younger you are, when you learn this lesson, the more quality you will have in your life. It's very true. And you see it with young people, I was one of them, who you just think you're immortal. When you're young, dude, you got tiger's blood. You think you're never gonna die, right? You've never injured yourself in the gym. You just think you're immortal, and you are, you know, until life humbles you. Like I said, I squatted 405, right? That was the most I've ever squatted in my life. Torn meniscus as a result. I have herniated a disc in my lower back. The most I've ever deadlifted is 505 pounds. I've herniated my disc in my lower back 2 or 3 times. I don't know if you could hear it. Maybe not right now, but, oh, there it is. I have impaired joints. I have 3 leaky heart valves. I'm the fucking Tin Man from Wizard of Oz. We're falling apart. Like, life will humble you. So another gift that I'm going to be able to give and pass on to my kin is education and what you should and what you should not do in your progression and your training. All right, very good. Okay, so yeah, that's and they said this book, and I'm so glad I remembered it. When you learn from your problems, you begin to understand life. When you learn from other people's problems and failures, then and only then do you begin to master life. Wow. I'm the kind of person who I need to touch the stove to know it's hot. That's just me. You learn things the hard way or the hardest way. I need the fucking hardest way. Sometimes I need to get decimated, right? I need to get wrecked. I need to be, as you bask in the sun, and then you'll be wrecked on the rocks, right? Shattered on the rocks the next, you know? And it's just, you can call it ego, you can call it life. And I'm not done yet, but as I've grown, as I've developed, as I've matured, have become more and more humble by force, right? Because the failure has forced the humility, right? It's forced me to let go. It's forced me to say, I don't know it all, right? Humility forces you letting go of your arrogance that you once had. It forces you letting go of, this is the way this is done. All that bullshit subsides. And I've learned this through drugs, I've learned this through just life in general, is you learn the greatest lessons of life when you let go. And I learned this actually I accessed the tree of knowledge just the other day, believe it or not. And I'll prove it. I got an insight for the university. So the university in the future is going to have tuition with my university when it's in an online format outside of YouTube, when students are going to enroll in Ratlife University. But I said this university will always be free, and I'm going to prove that by, and this is the ideology that I had the other day, this insight. And I said I'm going to put in my bios that if you can't afford the tuition of the university, which is going to be $10 per month in the future, type freedom at checkout, and it's going to make the entire university, your cart, free. That's how we're going to be able to prove the creed of Ratlife. Anyone can escape. Anyone, even if you have $0. It starts with belief and the courage to pursue. And I got that insight of that freedom as your, coupon code checkout thing from an insight that I had the other day on a most severe heart palpitation. It's what induced me accessing the rift, the tree of knowledge. So cool. The only other time I've experienced that in an even more intensified peak was when I was on MDMA in Berlin. Story for another time. But as I was saying, I've really thought about dying with the last day of my life. I believe the younger you are and the quality, yes. Did I say what I want to say in those regards? We'll move on. Okay. I believe, the younger you are, when you learn this lesson, the more quality you have in your life. Life forces gratitude and appreciation for the ones who never harbor it. That's what I'm saying. Is life forces you to let go. And I learned that in the insight from that when I had the worst fucking episode. And my heart seized up. I said, true strength isn't holding on. I said, true strength is the strength to let go. Oh, God, it was awesome. So fucking true. And I learned through recreational use, I learned through life in general, that you only are in a position to receive when you let go. Until you let go, you're not in a position to receive. And I don't know if I said it or if I went on a tangent, but the thing that I learned from Tai Lopez was, maybe I said it, but I'll reiterate it. When the student is ready, the teacher appears. I think I went on a big tangent. I forgot that one point, but I'm glad I remember that. And it's the same thing in life. When you let go, right? When you just fucking let go of your ego, let go of your arrogance, let go of the mistakes that you made, and you just say, I'm sorry. I don't know it all. I made a mistake, right? And you just have the courage to let go. You'll find just on the other end of what you're fucking terrified to do, right? To surrender, which is not giving up control. You put yourself in a position to receive that which you say you want. Okay. Next, life forces gratitude and appreciation for those who never harbor it. How true? How many people are 20/20 in hindsight, but 0 out of 100 in 0 out of 20 in gratitude? Story of how I want to spend my birthday with the one person I want to spend it with. One person I want to spend my birthday with, and I just want to take them to Laguna Beach. That's my perfect day. And it's interesting because in this book they talk about how would you spend your last day, and you think about the people who you want to spend your day with. That's my ultimate dream, is to take this one person to Laguna Beach for a sunset. That's fucking all I want to do. If we are living our lives the way that we should be, in such an order that we wouldn't change the last day of our life from any other day. And I thought about this a lot. That I was like, if I was gonna die, how would I change things? I was like, I would be doing the same thing that I'm doing right now. Like, the most noblest endeavor and courageous pursuit, the most worthwhile of your time, is that in which is the pursuit of your goal and your vision and your dream. What better way to die than in that noble quest, in that noble pursuit? That's what I do every day. So I'm like, when you're doing that, then you're stepping into not just being alive, but living. It's a quote from Braveheart. He said, all men die. Hardly any men really live. He says, like, all men die, but hardly any man truly lives. Something like that. Not something like that. That is what he said. Wallace. If we are living our lives, I just said that. I've asked myself that a lot when I thought I was going to die. I said, what would I do differently? And I said nothing. Most of the time, it's what I'm doing anyway. I would go to the gym and I would continue to progress towards my goal. It fills me with solace, and these are my notes and reflections. It fills me with solace and content and comfort to know that if I am to die, it was in the pursuit of my goal and dreams. I said, I've also found myself asking the question, who do I care about the most? Who do I wish I could see before I die? And I said, somehow I think life's tragedies are made up. That's a quote back from the book. Somehow I think life's tragedies are made up, not as much of the great failures, as much as of the simple pleasures and kind gestures missed. And I thought that was very, very true. Me wanting to you is not meant to be threatening. But holding you to the highest standard in my own way is the greatest act of love I can show you. And I put 1,000%. And so he said, me warning you, I had a typo. This is the grandfather talking on a video in his will to his grandson about, you need to do these gifts, or these tasks, or else you're not going to receive the ultimate gift. Me warning you is not meant to be threatening, but holding you to the highest standard in my own way. And that is the greatest act of love I can show you. That's exactly how I feel with other people. And I said, love is having the highest standard. And my friend Ricardo, he said, friendship is a responsibility. It was something that he told me, and I love that idea. And I said, trust is earned, loyalty is tested, egos are checked, mistakes are forgiven, honesty and transparency and understanding that you have their best interests at heart. Love it. All right, to summarize the book, these are all the gifts. The gift of work, the gift of money, the gift of friends, the gift of learning, the gift of problems, and I put the quote, for what it makes of you to achieve it, right? Which is a gift. Given to you for the better person it makes you, life giving you exactly what you say you want. The gift of family, the gift of laughter, the gift of dreams, the gift of giving, and I put abundance mindset, tithing, and I put homework assignments. So this is homework assignment number 3. The next time you do any service that gives a tip option, such as Uber, or going to get a smoothie, going to a pizza shop, give the max tip, right? The max tip option. And what it does is it conditions you to put yourself in a state of abundance and not lack. There's always more. And so important. If you won't give a dime out of $1, you're not going to give $100,000 out of $1 million, right? You need to practice giving when you have nothing, even if it's $1, even if it's $20, right? If you say, I'll give when I have more, you will never have more. If you give when you have nothing, then you will get more, right? It's living in a state of abundance. So I force myself. Anytime I've taken an Uber, when I go to get a smoothie, when I go to a pizza place, I do the max tip, no matter what. When I go to get my haircut at my barber, I give a 100% tip, right? It's practicing conditioning. I'm going to live in a state of abundance, not in a state of fucking lack. I refuse to live in that state. There's always more. All right. Oh, hot dog. We're still going. So that's the homework assignment. The next time you have the opportunity to tip, give the max tip you possibly can. Okay? Condition yourself, right? To live in a state of abundance, not lack. The gift of gratitude, the gift of a day. Those are all the gifts in the book. That was the ultimate gift. And there was actually another gift that we're going to go over in a second, but that was the ultimate gift, right? And why is this book in the university? Who needs that gift? Who needs to know the gift of work, money, friends, learning, education, problems, right? To become someone, right? Of a champion, a hero who's been through hardship and struggle and adversity, to cultivate perseverance, work ethic, discipline, patience, heart, the gift of family, laughter, dreams, giving, right? Gratitude, and the gift of a day to appreciate what the fuck you have, man. When all the dust settles, when the embers die, all that matters is that you are still alive. You're winning. The ones who have lost are gone. And that's not true for the ones who have lost, who lived. But the ones who lost, the ones who are gone, who were just alive, man, but they were never fucking living. Big difference. Okay. But do you see how that's so important in the generation that we're living in right now and where this world is going? That's the ultimate gift, because the generation that we're seeing is a result of shitty parenting who never gave their kids that great gift of work, of responsibility, of accountability, of personal agency, of ownership, of instilling the fucking doctrine of your word meaning something. It's evident in their behavior, in their lack of consideration, self-respect, integrity, character. Do you understand? That's why this is in this university. That is the ultimate fucking gift you can give your kids, particularly men. Discipline, patience, work, right? To learn the gift of pride in a job well fucking done. To lose the rhetoric of good enough. Banned word vernacular from your vocabulary in a prior lecture. Then, that is the ultimate gift, right? Because what does it create? Who do you become as a result? And what thereafter can you give others because, and only because, you've become more? All right. When we truly love others, our love makes each of us a different person when we truly love others. And it makes each one we love a different person. And I said and I thought about that a lot. And the other quote, my Uncle Red in this book loves me, my Uncle Red's love for me and giving me the ultimate gift forever changed my life and who I am. And I thought about and I put the seeds I've planted throughout my life. And it's fascinating. Life is about planting trees under whose shade you'll never sit. And don't get me wrong, man, I've been met with resentment. I've been fucking blocked on social media from people. I've been given so much, on the other end of so much bitterness, spite, hatred, projection. And just by standing as a mirror, or just by being somebody who refuses to coddle other people, or refuses to demonstrate that I have anything but another person's best interest at heart, because I hold them to a higher standard, because I actually love and care about them more than anyone else, right? And like I said, I've been on the other end of that more than most people. And I thought about that a lot, that life about planting trees under whose shade you will never sit, and all the seeds that I've planted throughout my journeys and my experiences. And it's so cool because when you give other people that quote, it says, when we love others, right? Love makes us a different person, and it makes each one we love a different person. So because I hold this person to a higher standard, because I refuse to, validate bullshit, because I act as that mirror, because I give people so much fucking love and truth, and it's the most evident when they're in a place to receive, right? But even if they're not in a place to receive, and you just continue to water it, continue to send that person love, continue to plant the seed of belief in other people until they water it and believe that sentiment for themselves. They become a different person as a result because of your love, because of the seeds that you plant. And so you see the world how you see yourself, right? It's very important that you only give love to other people. You don't send hateful messages. You don't, do any of that negativity, any of that poison to others. And if you fill yourself and fill your cup with so much love, and that is what you're giving to other people, then the people who don't believe that they deserve that gift yet, you keep watering them, And it's not to say to not quit watering dead plants. That's not what I'm talking about. But to give someone love is to truly believe in someone until they believe in themselves, right? until they learn to love themselves. Because only then can they be transformed, just like that quote just said. And so that's the beauty and power that you have with just what you can do within yourself and within your circle of influence. Is the greatest gift you can give other people is love, as hippie as that sounds. And the greatest gift you can give them first is loving yourself. Because if you love yourself, you will see other people how you see yourself. And when you see other people how you see yourself, then you'll see other people in that lens of love, right? And you'll see them at their best, at who they could be, the potential of who they have the potential to become. And it's a seed that you plant, right? Even if it's a lie for them, and then you water it, you continue to fucking give them that unconditional love until, secret word, until they water it, until they believe it for themselves. As you think, so you are. Got it? That is the fucking power of love. Okay. The responsibility of your life. It is your these are all my notes. It is your responsibility to pursue your potential because of the benefit your 1,000,000% unique gifts give to others. The absence of that pursuit is ignorance of the burden you bear, cowardice of the pursuit you shy away from, and extreme selfishness to all the people you say that you care about, that you love. For this simple reason, you could be giving more because you could become more. It's on you and you alone. The better you become, the more you'll have to give others. The more you give, the more you'll get. And therefore, the more you'll have to give until you make it. And I said, which is to die. That's when you make it. At the finality of the pursuit of your potential. That's a life lived. And the only one worth living. Those were all my thoughts, my notes. I didn't take that from the book. Those are my notes. Those are my notes! My reflections. Homework assignment. So this is homework assignment number 4. To recap, what was the first one? Is go 5 or 10 years out, let go of how, and write down everything that would be your dream life, 5-year goals, 10-year goals, as if you could not fail. You could have it all. And then what it does is it gives you exacting clarity on what it is that you want. When you let go of the fear of how I need to get it done. But it's like, I can have whatever I want, this is the person I want. It gives you exacting clarity on what you want, which is the first thing. You need to know the target, right? This is the person I want. This is the car I want. This is the place I want to travel to. This is the, what my vision, why goal is. This is the purpose that I want to pursue. Homework assignment number 1. Homework assignment number 2. Write your golden list. 10 things that you're grateful for. Homework assignment number 3. Tip. The maximum tip, the next opportunity that you get. Homework assignment number 4. Give someone the gift of candor. Call them out on their bullshit. Sometimes that's simply a not replying. Ignoring someone. Hold them to a higher standard than their bullshit for the sole reason that you love them more than anyone else. Don't do them the disservice of coddling them like everyone else. Don't let them forfeit blame or accountability. Be a mirror for them to look at themselves, to see how they are at fault, and also see the gift, which is they alone have the power to change and ultimately remedy their situation. That is the gift you can give someone, which is the gift of candor. I said it requires strength and humility that most people don't have, to say, I'm sorry, it was my fault, I was wrong, I made a mistake. And you get to be the person to give them the gift of grace. That's how relationships like my grandparents lasted for 62 years. They go through things together and grow together. 2 people who love each other, admitting to their faults and agreeing to work it out no matter what, for better or for worse. I said, that's the only love I want in my life. Love that requires courage, love that solidifies trust, love that gives me the confidence it will always be okay, because I know we're both willing to work it out until we do. So those were all my notes. I hope you guys like that. Or take that to heart. Make your life, this is a quote from the book, make your life and an extension of the ultimate gift you have received. If you will do all these things, you will have in your own way given to me your version of the ultimate gift. And these were my thoughts on that exact sentiment. I think that's how we show love to God, through our courageous pursuit and the love and belief we afford to ourselves as well as to others. What better way to demonstrate showing him the beauty of his own creation than by becoming all we can be and giving all we can in ourselves and to others? Food for thought. And this is the end of the notes. The ultimate gift was $1 billion fucking dollars. This is so stupid. So fucking stupid. So at the very end, he does all these things and he learns all of these. He gets the ultimate gifts of, friendship, family, work, gratitude, gift of a day, money, all these things, the gift of money in terms of giving. And at the very end, he's like, okay, now that you've completed all of these tasks, here's $1 billion in the form of a trust of all of my entities and companies and all these things for you to look over. And I said, it reminded me of the meme. It's a picture of this guy and he has a brain and it's all puzzle pieces. And it says, I'm just missing that one piece. And they zoom in on the piece and it says $1 billion. So fucking stupid. But yeah, that was the ultimate gift at the end of the book. And then this happened. I took a break to watch Point Break. I don't know if you guys seen that movie. It's with Patrick Swayze and young Keanu Reeves. It's such a good movie. It's so great. And they say this in the part that I'm at right now. If you want the ultimate, you have to be willing to pay the ultimate price. And he was alluding to death. And he also said in this book, in his perfect parallel, it's not tragic to die in the pursuit of your dreams. And the last quote, and this is the end of the notes. In this life, there is nothing more powerful than a person who has seen the path to destiny within their soul and is willing to pursue it. Wow. Book number 10 of the University of Ratlife University. We're in semester 2 right now. I hope you take away anything from that book and those lessons and those virtues. Because if you embody those disciplines, those ideologies, those practices and reflections and those homework assignments, who do you become as a result? Who do your kids become through that newfound education that you will then impart on them? When you become more, everyone's life improves as a result, right? Life is about planting trees under whose shade you will never sit. The more you become, the more you can give. The more you can give, the more that you'll get. The more that you have to give, the more you get to give others. Does that make sense? Right? Become more, right? It's a good quote by Tony Robbins. He said, life, it's not about what we get, it's about what we become and what we're able to give now that we've become more. And I've said that so many times, I'm going to keep repeating it, but that is the ultimate gift. All of those tenets and all of those sentiments, because all you have to do is look right now in the world that we live in to see a world of people who are never given the gift of work and therefore work ethic. Most people are raised by single mothers, which is incredibly unfortunate, just like I was, to where you're never taught masculinity. You're never taught the tenets to protect, to provide, to be selfless, right? You're never taught to not tolerate disrespect from others. You're never taught indefatigability. You're never taught to remove the words I'm tired from your vocabulary. You're never taught to get the cancer out of your life, of negativity, of toxic friends, of people who don't invite growth and support and the word yes and comfortability in your own skin and confidence being yourself, who make you feel so self-conscious and so hard to fucking love, right? You're not taught any of this shit in modern education or by certain upbringing and parentage. But if you begin to be perspicacious, to the ability to perceive, to think for yourself, to stand guardway at the doorway of your mind, to impart and to implement every single one of these lessons, dude, within this university, they all compound, right? Who do you become? And what kind of father do you become? What kind of lover do you become? What kind of brother do you become? What kind of son do you become? And so what better relationship do you have with your mother, with your wife, with your kids, with your coworkers, with the people who you employ, right? If you become more, dude, everyone fucking wins. So you not pursuing your pursuit not only is selfish, not only is ignorant, it's cowardice, because you could be giving so much more. So when you say, I care about this person, bullshit, because if you actually cared, you would fill the fuck out of your cup. You would become so much more than you are right now. You are not enough. The person you are right now is not enough. You're good, fine for the level that you're at. But to get to here, you have to become more, right? You won't be happy unless you're progressing towards another goal, towards a new mountain, right? If you're not on the way, and I'll give you a perfect example. I learned this from Tony Robbins. Happiness is found in two things. Number one is progression, right? But number two is your blueprint matching your story. As in, if my story says I should be at this job, earning this income, with this person, with these kids, with this whatever, and my current circumstance does not reflect that, I'm unhappy. If it exceeds that, I'm stoked. And if it's on par with that, then it's okay, I'm where I should be. Perfect example. I should have my story, I should have $10,000 in my bank account. Reality, I have $1 in my bank account. Not happy. My story, I should have $10,000 in my bank account and I have $20,000 in my bank account. I'm ahead, right? I'm further along than I should be. It's that exact sentiment. So you have to understand, if you are not on the way to your goal, if you're not progressing, if you're not filling your cup, you're fucking useless to the people you say that you care about, because dude, you cannot give what you don't have. If you're not happy, if you're not love with yourself, you cannot love another person until you're in love with yourself, right? All those ideas. Ratlife University, it starts with belief. Anyone can escape. Let's get this credo correct. Ratlife, anyone can escape. Starts with belief and the courage to pursue. Ratlife, we're all gonna make it. Book number 10, semester 2, become your villain. Become the man or woman you were born to be. Until next time, we are all